Welcome to Get Organized at Work. I'm your host, Kayla Fahey-Ahrndt, healthcare leader, mom of three, and your go-to guide for ditching the chaos and taking control of your workday. This is the show where we turn overwhelming to-do lists into clear, actionable plans so you can crush your goals and show up as your best self at work and in your life. Whether you're here for strategies to stay ahead or systems to simplify your workday, you're in the right place. Let's get organized, have some fun, and make this year your best year in your career yet. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to Get Organized at Work podcast. I'm Kayla, I'm your host. This is the first episode of 2026, and I'm really excited about today's episode because it kicks off not just a new month, but a new leadership theme we'll be focusing on inside our community this January. So that theme is stewardship. And before your brain jumps to like, whoa, that's a big word. That sounds heavy, or this sounds like more responsibility. I want you to stay with me because stewardship is actually one of the most freeing leadership skills you can develop. And it's something I'm working on this year. It's actually one of my words for the year. That's a whole nother episode. So especially if you're craving more consistency, less reactivity, better systems, and leadership that feels grounded instead of frantic, this episode is for you. Why stewardship and why now? When I looked at what our community shared they want to work on this past year, the themes were loud and clear. People want systems they can actually stick with, better focus and follow through, less minute scrambling, more proactive leadership, and less juggling, more breathing. Me too. And here's what I've learned after years of leadership, project management, and teaching organization systems. Most people don't need more tools. Like they think they need another tool or app or anything like that. But what they really need is just a different relationship with the things and the people that they already have and work with. And that's where stewardship comes in. Stewardship is the practice of leading what's already in your care with intention, responsibility, and compassion. Not control, not with perfection, not hustle, but with care. So let's talk about stewardship versus control. A lot of leaders unknowingly operate from control, right? Because it's sort of the way that we make sure things happen the way that we want it to. Control sounds like, quote, if I just had the perfect system, or quote, once I get organized, then I'll be consistent, or quote, I need to stay on top of everything. And stewardship actually sounds a lot different. Stewardship asks, what deserves my care right now? What actually needs my attention today? What can be supported by a system instead of my memory? Control tries to manage everything, while stewardship prioritizes what matters most. And the shift alone is going to be life-changing for you. And it's life-changing for leaders who have multiple roles, multiple sites. Maybe you're neurodivergent, you have ADHD, or you just struggle with attention, or you just simply have a lot on your plate, which is probably everybody who's listening to this podcast. And just as a little tidbit, because I haven't yet defined stewardship from like a dictionary point of view, if you type in stewardship in Google, the AI overview says stewardship is the careful, responsible management and protection of something entrusted to one's care, like resources, property, or even people, focusing on long-term health and benefit rather than short-term gain. And then the first dictionary entry on Google says it's the job of supervising or taking care of something such as an organization or property. So it's really taking care instead of taking control. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to make this word sound more tangible instead of sort of this like floaty idea in space. Something else you might think of when you hear the word stewardship would be flight attendant or flight steward. They're the people that ensure our safety of passengers in the cabin of the aircraft or the airplane from getting from point A to B. They take care of us, make sure that we're safe throughout the entire flight, and make sure that we have what we need to have a good flight. And it doesn't mean that they're responsible for every action of every passenger, of course. It just means that they help make the experience a positive one, as well as make sure that we have proper systems to get what we need on the flight. All right, so now that we've defined it a little bit more, let's talk about stewardship of 4 core areas that I want to talk about today. These are practical leadership categories that I've created for you. The first one is stewardship of action. The second one is stewardship of time. The third is stewardship of systems. And the fourth is stewardship of energy. And after we go through those, we'll talk about how these four themes connect to our January rhythm inside our podcast community. Number one, let's talk about stewardship of attention. Your attention is finite. There's only so much to go around. And stewardship of your attention means deciding ahead of time what gets your focus, designing your day so attention isn't constantly getting hijacked, and using systems to reduce decision fatigue. So that's why I love to teach systems like leader standard work, weekly planning rhythms, and capture systems like OneNote or Kanban task boards. This is not to add more structure, but it's to help protect your attention and keep you on the right track. And I want to also say that although our attention is finite, like that's obvious, we only have so much of it, everyone has a different level of the attention that they can give at any given time, right? So like systems like, let's give an example, time blocking. We've all heard of this. It's where you basically schedule time or meetings on your calendar for specific tasks or things you need to accomplish, or meetings. And if that thing doesn't happen, but it's important, you just move it to the different time in the day, or you move it to another day of the week. So this system is great because it makes sure that you're like inside your system. You're creating a lot of awareness about what your schedule means and what is being asked of you and what you're agreeing to do. I love that. It's great for building awareness. However, it does take quite a bit of your attention to constantly be managing that system. So while that might work for some people who are maybe like super high performing and they are really good at being focused and they're really good at like noticing details, that's lovely for them. For other people, that can be so draining that it becomes defeating at some point. So you need to think about when you design systems for organizing your work in your life, there are times where you can over-engineer things. It's just not going to work for you. So that's why, like I said, I love to teach leader standard work because you can customize it for yourself. And I talk about planning your week at a rhythm that works for your energy. And also systems like I talked about Kanban boards. Some of these items can be automated and just need to be updated every once in a while, and you go to it when you need it. But it's not constantly pinging you for your attention. So how do you design systems that can protect this attention while helping you, make decisions quicker or ahead of time, help you design your day so that it creates more space for you? So that's my goal for thinking about stewardship of attention. Number two, stewardship of time, kind of related to stewardship of attention. Time stewardship isn't about squeezing more in, not like, okay, how much can I cram into one day or week or month? It's about being proactive versus reactive work. It's about planning before urgency decides for you. Not deciding is also making a decision, right? Honoring the difference between important and what's just really loud and in front of you right now. And this can be very difficult, and it takes time to get to a place where you can notice what's real and what's just loud. Same thing when you're working with different people at work, like who's just the squeaky wheel and what's actually real life for most people. Stewardship says just because something is urgent doesn't mean it deserves my best energy. And I've shared this on the podcast before, and I'm sure you've heard it from other leaders, is your emergency isn't my emergency, right? We have to make sure that we protect our time. Of course, we're going to help our people out when we need to. Of course, we're not going to let, ourselves fail or our team fail unless it's a lesson we are trying to help someone learn. But stewardship of time, to me, it's really leadership of maturity, not dropping everything for someone else just because they have an emergency, but really thinking ahead, helping people see that they can plan ahead and how to approach things differently when the noise gets really loud and you need to make a clear decision. So we'll dive more into stewardship of time throughout the month, I'm sure. Number three, stewardship of systems. I've talked a little bit about systems already here, but systems are really where organization lives. That's what I preach, because I think if you've got a system or a plan for something, then you have a current state and you can always engineer that, change it, improve upon it, make it better, or deconstruct it if you need it. So a steward doesn't ask, is this system perfect, right? So just like I just said, they ask, does this system support real life? Is it still working for me? Is it not working anymore? What's changed? So if your system only works when you're fully focused, you're on your A game, but it breaks when you're tired or kind of not on top of things, or requires your constant attention, like I mentioned before, constantly setting it up, resetting it up, it's not a stewardship system. It's a performance system. It's a catchy system, one that looks cool, that seems like it's the right thing to do. And so stewardship systems catch things when you forget. They guide you back when you fall off. They're your home base, and they make consistency easier to return to. They shouldn't make it harder for you to manage your work. So if you're constantly color coding and making the system pretty, but it's not actually doing anything for you, is it really a system? Number 4, stewardship of energy. This one often gets overlooked. Leadership isn't just about output, it's about sustainability. So stewardship of energy means noticing your capacity and others' capacity, adjusting expectations by season or seasonality of your life, season of the year, whatever is going on, and letting enough be enough. Strong leaders don't burn themselves out by proving they can carry more. They prove themselves by saying, I can't do it right now in this season, or, hey, let's find someone else who has a passion or a strength or an interest, and let's grow and develop them so we can get this done and they can gain skills. They design leadership that can last beyond themselves and also within themselves. So I think we talk a lot about burnout, but we don't talk about why. And I think there's so many different reasons that we can be burnt out. It can be burnout due to analysis paralysis, not taking enough action, feeling stuck. It can also be, I have too much on my plate. I don't have any systems. It can be, I don't have the right people around me, or I haven't figured out how to grow and develop others so that I have the right team. Like, there are so many reasons. But I think one of the number one ones is that we've basically depleted ourselves by not noticing that we don't have the capacity right now, or we won't in a future season, or, hey, maybe we haven't done enough, so let's add one more thing. And there are really high expectations for leaders out there. Many of you that listen that are in my community have been leaders for years, and you've probably even led through the pandemic, which, as I'm recording this, like almost 6 years ago when COVID-19 came around. And that was one of the hardest times to kind of go through, cultural reckoning for a lot of different reasons. And the expectations for leaders are higher now than ever. And I don't say this to be scary or to deter people from leading. I just say this because we are put on a pedestal, because we are, I guess, expected to manage well. And I don't think people realize how it feels until they've maybe walked in our shoes. And so I just want to speak to, as leaders, that it's really important that you protect your leadership energy and your personal boundaries and your professional boundaries so you can sustainably keep showing up, or else you will resent the work and you will succumb to the expectations because you will have the harshest expectations than anyone else on yourself. And so we'll talk a lot about stewardship of energy in January and throughout the year, and systems and, organization is one way that I help you with making your leadership sustainable. So I'm really excited to talk more about this topic and help set up those systems so that you're like, hey, I got this. I'm not drained. Like, I might be at max capacity, but I've got systems to handle it. And I also know I'm at max capacity. And now I'm going to start offloading or doing what I can to manage well. So number 4, stewardship of energy. Really interesting, complex, but not so complex topic at the same time. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what you think about this. So inside our community, we're using a weekly rhythm that mirrors stewardship in action. I'm really excited about it. I'm calling it our January rhythm. And it's actually the new way that I'm running our community. And the rhythm is listen, clarify, connect, reflect, and notice. And so listen is really Monday is podcast, Tuesday is clarify. So I talk about Tuesday tools. Wednesday is connect. So I talk about, I try to make it like fun and themed in the community. So Wednesday walkthrough or sort of like rounding, going to Gemba. Thursday is for reflecting, really thinking about kind of like pausing Thursday thoughts, thinking about the week, what we learned through connection and the podcast, and notice. Or for Friday, and Friday is going to be all about leadership pics. So I'm going to be sharing photographs and memes and pictures from my life, photography, things that I think represent leadership and have leadership lessons. It's going to be fun. Sometimes it'll be serious. Sometimes it'll be lighthearted. And this structure of listen, clarify, connect, reflect, and notice follows my core belief and the thing that I've been teaching inside the community and in all my courses, which is awareness plus intention equals proactiveness, which ultimately leads to strategic results, which is exactly what you need to achieve as a professional and in a leadership position. You don't need to engage with everything in the community if you join. You don't need to keep up. Stewardship means using what serves you and leaving the rest. So I would love for you to come into the community and check it out, be part of our January rhythm, see what we're up to. I'll be posting pretty much daily during the week, sometimes longer content, sometimes just short thoughts. So nothing too much. And again, take what serves you, leave the rest. Let's talk about a simple practice for the week after you've listened and learned and taken in this concept of stewardship with me. And this is a simple practice that you can try. You can ask yourself, what is one thing I want to steward more intentionally right now? Is it your time, your energy, your systems, your leadership presence? Just choose one. I know it can be hard, and design one small support for it. That's leadership. If you need help with this, I'd love for you to come inside the podcast community. The link will be in the description and the show notes, depending on wherever you are listening, and we can support you in this. The community is over 100 people now. It's been going on for a year. I'm super excited with what we've accomplished in the past year. I can't wait to do a breakdown of the final numbers for how we did podcast listens and community member results for 2025. That'll be a totally different episode. But for now, if this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a leader who feels stretched or is on your team who you're like, let's do this together. Or leave a quick review so people can find this podcast. I would love it. Right now, I only have a few reviews. It's just not something people tend to do. So if you're listening, please review on the platform if it's possible. And if you're part of our community, keep an eye out. January is all about building leadership that supports real life. You should have email in your inbox last Friday, if you're listening in real time, all about January and the new flow inside the community. And you'll be getting updates inside the community app. I'm so glad you're here listening and in the community. If you are there, are going to be there. And I will talk to you soon. And we'll see you next week with another episode. Bye.